Victoria, maybe we should just forget about it. In a sprawling penthouse apartment, Julian Vance kept his head low, his voice a fragile whisper. I don't want my illness to cause problems between you two. Just let me go quietly. Victoria Davenport's brow furrowed. The only cure for your leukemia is a bone marrow transplant. Her voice was clipped, businesslike. None of the current donors are a match. The only way is to have a child. She softened her tone slightly, a rare concession. Don't worry, I'll find a way to cure you. But Julian shot an apologetic glance in my direction. If you act as the surrogate, what will Ethan think of me? Ethan, what's your opinion? Victoria turned to me, her gaze expectant. The scene washed over me with a sickening sense of déjà vu. It was real. I was back. I had been reborn. Last time, my refusal to let Victoria go through with the surrogacy had earned me a one-way ticket to the windowless cellar. I have severe claustrophobia. I had begged her, pleaded with her to let me out. She had ignored me, leaving with a chilling finality. When you've realized your mistake and stopped trying to prevent me from saving a life, I'll let you out. It was a matter of pride, of a man's dignity. I wouldn't yield. But when she left, she abandoned our 4-year-old daughter, Lily, in the care of a new nanny. The first day locked in the suffocating darkness, I could faintly hear Lily's heart-wrenching sobs, her desperate cries for her daddy. The thought of my little girl, so small and alone, broke me. I gave in. I yelled until my throat was raw, telling them I agreed, that they could do whatever they wanted. But I never imagined they would defy Victoria's orders. Miss Davenport is gone. A gravelly voice had sneered from the other side of the door. Mr. Vance told us to give you a proper welcome, to help you reflect more deeply. The security guards, they were Julian's men. By the second day, I couldn't hear Lily's cries anymore. A frantic terror seized me. I begged. I screamed her name, but the only response was silence. My claustrophobia tightened its icy grip. With no food or water, hallucinations began to warp the edges of the darkness. On the third day, a shriek echoed through the house. The little brat's dead. What do we do? Keep your voices down, a gruff male voice commanded. Ms. Davenport can't find out. If she asks, we say Ethan Miller did it. We say we let him out because he was having an episode and he beat his own daughter to death. Yeah, with Mr. Vance on our side, she probably won't look too closely into it. Only then did I understand. It was all Julian's monstrous scheme. His leukemia. It was all a lie. My poor, sweet Lily. Murdered by him and by Victoria's cruel indifference. The realization shattered what was left of my mind. The darkness consumed me, and I died, choking on a hatred so profound it felt eternal. The memory still steals my breath, a phantom weight on my chest. This time, that tragedy will not happen. Ethan. Victoria's voice was sharp, laced with impatience at my silence. I asked you a question. Do you agree to me having a child for Julian through IVF? I snapped back to the present, my eyes scanning the room, frantically searching for Lily. There she was peeking out from behind a column at the top of the grand staircase, a tiny, curious face in the shadows. A wave of relief washed over me, so powerful it almost buckled my knees. I turned back to Victoria, my voice steady and devoid of emotion. A thing like that. It's your decision. I don't have an opinion. To my astonishment, my compliance seemed to infuriate her even more. Ethan Miller. Her face was a mask of cold fury. Your wife is talking about carrying another man's child, and you have no opinion? What the hell? This wasn't how it was supposed to go. Wasn't this what you wanted? My agreement should have made things simpler. Why was she angry? Was this just another excuse? A pretext to lock me in the cellar again? A cold sweat beaded on my forehead. No, absolutely not. I can't let her find any reason. Then what do you think we should do? I said, choosing my words carefully. I'll listen to you. Victoria stared at me, her eyes drilling into mine, searching for any sign of deception. I was lying, of course. A desperate, life-saving lie. I wouldn't survive a second trip to that suffocating darkness. The air grew thick with tension. After a long moment, she seemed to find nothing amiss, though her expression remained stormy. Julian, she said, turning away from me, about the surrogacy. I could find a professional for you. Her voice was flat. Don't worry about the cost. I'll cover it. She then offered me a stilted explanation. Julian and I grew up together. I can't just stand by and watch him die. Julian's face clouded over, a flicker of something dark in his eyes, but he dared not object. Thank you, Victoria, he said, his voice dripping with manufactured gratitude. That's for the best. You won't have to suffer, and Ethan won't be upset. He put on a show of sincerity. When I'm better, I swear I'll work my fingers to the bone to pay you back. Don't be ridiculous. Victoria waved a dismissive hand. Consider it my way of repaying you for saving my life all those years ago. Julian saved her? That was news to me. But Victoria's attitude today was completely different from my last life. Was this some kind of act for my benefit? It had to be. Regardless, my priority was clear. Get Lily and escape this monster. Fast. Lily's birthday is tomorrow, Victoria said, the matter with Julian apparently settled. She turned to me, a strange look of anticipation on her face. Let's go to the amusement park. As a family, I had the distinct feeling that since my rebirth, something about Victoria had fundamentally changed. But the woman I knew, the woman from my past life, never acknowledged me as her husband, let alone Lily as her daughter. Her heart would always belong to her first love. What was this new performance for? Annie. Just as I was trying to figure out how to respond, Lily's timid voice drifted down from the stairs. Are you really going to take me to the amusement park? A flash of pain crossed Victoria's face, but she forced a smile. Of course. I'm your mother. It's my job to be there for you. Emma, Mommy. Lily whispered the word, her tiny lips pressed tightly together. Her big eyes welled up with tears, her face a canvas of disbelief. For years, Victoria had forbidden Lily from calling her Mommy. I knew how desperately my daughter had yearned to say that word. Victoria smiled and moved forward, her arms outstretched as if to embrace her. Victoria, I tensed, stepping instinctively between her and my daughter, ready to shield her from any harm. Lily clung to my leg, hiding behind me. Ethan, Victoria's expression was a mix of confusion and hurt. I just want to hold her. Hearing her call me by my name, without the usual iciness, sent a strange jolt through me. In my previous life, she hadn't called me by my first name, even as I lay dying. If the memory of that agonizing death wasn't seared into my very soul, I might have actually believed her. Daddy. Lily looked up at me, her eyes shining with a fragile hope. Is Auntie telling the truth? Lily, I'm your mommy. Victoria cut in before I could answer, her voice strained. Why would you call me Auntie? I let out a silent, bitter laugh. Weren't you the one who made the rules, Victoria? No one was to know I was your husband. No one was to know Lily was your daughter. When Lily was just a baby, learning talk, her first word had been Mommy. And what did you do? You had the staff lock her in her room until she cried herself unconscious. If I hadn't come home when I did, she would have died right then and there. Hey, Auntie. Lily choked back her tears and dropped to her knees on the stairs in a gesture of pure, conditioned terror. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have called you Mommy. I was wrong. Please don't punish me. Watching this broke my heart all over again, fueling the inferno of my hatred for Victoria. What kind of venomous creature frightens a child into begging for forgiveness for wanting her own mother? She was Lily's biological mother, and yet. Victoria's face went pale, her lips moving as if she wanted to say something, but no words came out. She reached out her hands again, but Lily flinched back. Victoria's hands froze in midair. She looked at me, her eyes pleading for help. I ignored her. I scooped Lily into my arms, holding her tight. It's okay, sweetie, I murmured. Daddy's here. You're safe. Lily buried her face in my shoulder, her small body trembling with silent sobs. She didn't dare make a sound, not in front of Victoria. Ms. Davenport, I cast a cold glance at her. Thank you for remembering Lily's birthday, but you have an important project meeting tomorrow. We wouldn't want to trouble you. Victoria's face was ashen. I can postpone it, she said, a desperate edge to her voice. The project can wait. Hearing Victoria say that, a strong premonition washed over me. She really was different from the last time. But no matter what, the years of cruelty she'd inflicted on us could never be erased. She didn't love us. That was a fact. Daddy. After a few moments, Lily tugged on my collar. For my birthday tomorrow, will Annie really come with me? She will. Before I could form a response, Victoria jumped in, her voice urgent. No matter how important anything else is, I will be with Lily tomorrow. Seeing the look of hopeful excitement on Lily's face, I felt a pang of conflict. In that case, we appreciate you taking the time, Ms. Davenport. I finally relented. After all, Lily's deepest wish was just to have her mother with her for her birthday, just once. The tension in Victoria's shoulders visibly eased. Ethan, Lily. Victoria's mood seemed to lift instantly. I'm taking Julian to the hospital now to get the surrogacy process started. I'll be back as soon as I can. We'll have dinner together, okay? As she spoke, she leaned in and placed a kiss on my forehead and then one on Lily's. Lily's whole body went rigid, as if she couldn't believe what was happening. Okay, I said, not pulling away. I couldn't risk her suspecting my plan to leave. Any complication now could be disastrous. Victoria beamed, then took Julian's arm to leave. Just as they reached the door, she seemed to have a second thought and quickly withdrew her hand. Let's go. I've already had my assistant contact the surrogate. Before she walked out, she glanced back at us, her face softening into a gentle smile I had never seen before. Daddy. The moment Victoria was gone, my daughter seemed to exhale, returning to her normal self. What's wrong with Auntie Victoria? I didn't answer, because I had no idea what kind of game she was playing. Daddy, I don't want to live here anymore. I'm scared, Lily said, her small hands twisting the hem of her shirt. She looked up at me, her voice a tiny plea. Can we leave this place? Please. My heart stuttered. Could she have somehow sensed my plan? Lily, my voice was serious. Tell Daddy, why do you want to leave? Daddy, I had a really scary nightmare. Lily's voice trembled. I dreamed that you were locked in a dark room, and I couldn't find you, and the grown-ups wouldn't give me any food, and they hit me. I was so hungry, and it hurt so much. I won't cry anymore, Daddy. I won't make them angry again. A tremor shot through my body. I clamped my hand gently over her mouth. Lily, no, it was just a nightmare. It won't happen. I didn't realize my own body was shaking violently, tears streaming down my face like a broken dam. Lily, she was reborn too. She was just too young to understand it, mistaking the horrific memories for a bad dream. But Lily tilted her head back, bravely holding back her own tears. It felt so real, Daddy. It hurts so much. Can we? Yes. I pulled her into a fierce hug. We're leaving. We're leaving right now. With that, I carried her upstairs to pack. We didn't have much. Everything we owned fit into 2 suitcases. I gathered our IDs and the bank cards, then bundled up the rest of our useless belongings and threw them in the trash. Whatever games Victoria was playing, the only thing that mattered now was escaping this hellhole. And one more thing. I took out the divorce papers Victoria had signed 5 years ago. If I ever want a divorce, she told me back then, just sign these. Don't ask questions. This time, they would come in very handy. I imagine she'll be thrilled. Mr. Miller, where are you going? As I carried the suitcases down with Lily in tow, the housekeeper, Mrs. Gable, intercepted us. Mr. Vance is coming over this evening. Lily and I are going to stay at the old place for the night. I lied smoothly, trying not to arouse suspicion. Mr. Vance needs peace and quiet, and we don't want to disturb him. At the mention of Julian, Mrs. Gable didn't press further. She just shook her head and muttered under her breath. I don't know what the madam is thinking, ignoring her own wonderful husband and daughter to spend all her time with that Mr. Vance. With that, she turned and went back to the kitchen. Lily and I exchanged a look, a silent sigh of relief passing between us. Stepping out of the penthouse, I paused and looked back at the home where I'd spent 5 years of my life, a flood of memories rushing over me. I met Victoria 5 years ago in a small dive bar. I was singing there, just trying to find something to do, anything to keep from thinking about her. Victoria was a force of nature, ice-cold, domineering, and perpetually alone, a fortress of sorrow built around her as she nursed her drinks. She requested song after song, but never seemed to listen, her eyes fixed only on the bottles on her table. This went on for several nights. Finally, during a break, I went over and offered to buy her a drink. To my surprise, she didn't refuse. Instead, she looked at me with an unnerving intensity. I felt myself flushing under her gaze. Sorry. That was probably too forward of me. No, she'd said, a rare, breathtaking smile gracing her lips. Stay. Have a drink with me. I did. By the end of the night, she was holding my hand. Will you marry me? She'd asked, her voice low and commanding. I'll be good to you. Forever. That night, her sheer audacity won me over. The next day, we were at City Hall. A month later, she was pregnant. I quit my job at the bar to take care of her full-time. It wasn't until later that I learned the truth. She had married me in a fit of pique because her first love, Julian Vance, had just posted his own wedding pictures online. Our marriage was an act of revenge. I tried to bring up divorce, but then we found out she was pregnant. After Lily was born, I never mentioned it again. Not until Julian came back into the picture. He returned to the country, and she spent a month with him, ignoring us completely. I angrily demanded a divorce then, but she only doubled down, refusing to even come home. When she finally did, it was to announce her plan to be a surrogate for him. I said no, and for that, she had me and Lily killed. The memory was a physical pain, a knife twisting in my gut. But this time was different. Lily and I were reborn. We had a chance to live our own lives. Goodbye forever, Victoria. I hope, for your own sake, you don't try to find us. Outside, I bypassed the Ubers and flagged down a yellow cab. Sir, are you going to Havenwood, Ohio? I asked politely. The driver laughed. You kidding me, buddy? That's like 1,000 miles away. You want to take a cab there? I nodded seriously. The price is negotiable. Seeing I wasn't joking, the driver gave me and Lily a long, searching look. He made a quick call to his wife to check in, then turned back to me. All right, pal. Meter or a flat rate? Flat rate, I said. Want to get this over with. The moment Victoria got home and found us gone, she would launch a citywide manhunt. Her possessiveness wouldn't allow us to just slip from her grasp. Going there, it's close to 3 grand, but I got to drive back empty. So let's call it 5,000. I'll give you 10,000, I said, pulling out my phone to transfer the money. But I have one condition. It wasn't anything outrageous. I just needed him to switch cars once we got near the airport. The driver's eyes narrowed with suspicion. Relax, I'm not a kidnapper, I said with a tired shake of my head. Lily, can you explain to the nice man? Mister, Lily piped up in her sweet, childish voice. This is my daddy. My mommy doesn't want us to go visit Grandma back home. So we told her we were going on vacation. That's why Daddy needs you to switch cars, so she can't track us and get mad. The driver was still skeptical. I had to pull out our birth certificates to show him. Huh, your wife's name is Victoria Davenport, he said, surprised. Same name as the CEO of Davenport Industries. I just smiled and didn't explain. All right, buddy, you got it, the driver said, his doubts finally eased. I'll have my wife bring our family car and meet us on a service road by the airport. Buckle up, little one, here we go. Ping, a voice message notification popped up on my phone. It was from Victoria. Ethan, I'm finishing up here. I'll be home soon. I didn't block her. I just logged out of my messaging app, popped out the SIM card, and tossed it out the window. So long, New York. Sure enough, as we approached the airport, the driver pulled onto a winding service road with no cameras. A black sedan was waiting there, its hazard lights blinking. After a quick switch, we were on our way to Havenwood, Ohio. The scenery along the highway was beautiful, and Lily watched it all with wide-eyed delight. After a full day and night on the road, we finally arrived. I bought a beat-up old pickup truck and drove us the rest of the way to my old family home. Looking at the dilapidated but clean and tidy house, I felt a wave of emotion. My parents had passed away a few years ago, and I hadn't been back since. I was surprised someone had been keeping it up. As I pulled in, old neighbors came out to greet me warmly, their kindness bringing tears to my eyes. They all gushed over how sweet and well-behaved my daughter was. I wasn't worried about Victoria finding us here. She never even knew where my hometown was. But just in case, I immediately started the legal process to change our names and official records. I was going to erase Ethan and Lily Miller from the face of the earth. Everything went smoothly. 10 days later, our names were officially changed. I was now Caleb Stone, a little on the nose, but it felt right. It signified my second chance at life. For my daughter, who would need to go to school, I chose a prettier name, Aurora. Aurora for a new dawn, a new beginning, a name representing hope and something precious. A month later, we were settled into the old house, which I'd given a simple renovation. Every morning, I'd drop Aurora off at preschool, and then I'd spend my days writing. In the afternoons, I'd tend to the vegetable garden I'd planted. But one afternoon, while I was out in the garden, an unexpected visitor arrived. Caleb, your wife is here. My old buddy from town, Dave, came running out to the garden, out of breath and frantic. My wife? It couldn't be. Victoria? A rock of ice formed in my stomach. Forgetting the half-watered tomatoes and Dave's bewildered expression, I took off at a dead sprint toward the preschool. Seeing my daughter safe in her classroom, playing with the other kids, I finally felt the crushing weight on my chest lift. When school let out, I grabbed her hand, my only thought to get out of town before it was too late. But my timing was off. Dave had brought the visitor directly to the school. When I saw who it was, I froze. The words caught in my throat. Man, Caleb, why'd you take off so fast? Dave grumbled. Your old lady's been waiting for you for ages. I ignored him, my mind racing. How'd she find this place? Are you okay? She asked, a gentle smile gracing her lips, warming her features like the spring sun. Her beautiful face was alight with the pure, undisguised joy of our reunion. I couldn't look at her, couldn't find the words. Caleb, what the hell is wrong with you? Dave couldn't stand it anymore. He pulled me aside and whispered, Man, your wife? She's not just gorgeous, she's a saint. These past few years you've been gone. She's the one who's been cleaning up your family's house. Every time she comes, she brings tons of stuff for everyone in town. Dave gave me a light punch on the arm. You've really made it, buddy. See that new paved road? She said you paid for it. See that elementary school? She said it was your donation. Dave's words hit me like a physical blow. You did all this. I looked at her, my expression a tangled mess of confusion and disbelief. Well, you weren't around to do it, so I come by every now and then to check on things. I can't believe you're actually here. She was still the same, that easy, comforting smile never leaving her face. Daddy, who is this pretty lady? Just then, Aurora's sweet voice cut through the tension. Ahem. I cleared my throat, feeling a flush of awkwardness. Sweetie, this is Isabel Sterling. She's a friend of Daddy's from college. You can call her Aunt Isabel. Isabel Sterling. My college girlfriend. My first love. Back then, we were inseparable. We had a plan, graduate, stay in New York, work our asses off until we had a down payment for a house, and then get married. But one day she just vanished. I searched for her for weeks. Just as I was about to file a missing persons report, 2 men in suits showed up at my door. They were sent by her parents. They handed me a check for $5 million and told me to stay away from Isabel. I refused the money, so her parents used their power to make my life a living hell. It was only then that I discovered the truth. She was an heiress, part of an elite New York family, and she was being sent home for an arranged marriage. I was completely out of my league. Heartbroken, I started singing in bars, just trying to stay busy enough to numb the pain. The day after Victoria and I got together, I saw the news. The high-profile society wedding of the year had been called off. The bride, they said, had refused at the last minute. After that, I never heard another word about Isabel. I never dreamed that all these years she was the one coming here, tending to my family's home. Why don't you come back to the house for dinner? The words came out clumsy and abrupt. Back to the house. Hearing those words, Isabel's composure finally broke. She ran towards me, throwing her arms around my neck, and burst into tears of overwhelming joy. My hero, she sobbed. I've waited 5 years to hear you say that. My hero? The name was a ghost, both strange and painfully familiar. Isabel stepped through the door of my home. Seeing the repaired and renovated house, a genuine, radiant smile finally lit up her face. It was different from her usual gentle expression. This one was pure happiness. My hero, Isabel said, holding Aurora as she watched me cook. I didn't think you'd ever come back, so I didn't dare change anything inside. My hero was her special name for me. She used to say I had to protect our love like a superhero protects the world. If anything stood in our way, I was supposed to smash it with a hammer. It's okay. I should be thanking you, I said with a small smile. If you hadn't been taking care of this place all these years, it probably would have collapsed by now. The food was soon on the table. Throughout the meal, Isabel seemed on the verge of saying something, then would stop herself. Is there something you want to ask? I offered gently. She looked nervous. All these years. I've been waiting for you. A strange tightness gripped my chest. I didn't reply. The truth was, I had seen her once, after I'd moved into Victoria's penthouse. Victoria was pregnant, and I was trying to play the part of the doting husband. Isabel had been there, across the street, her face full of hope. But I couldn't forgive her for disappearing without a word, and I couldn't accept the chasm between our worlds, the New York heiress and the bar singer. So I made a show of rubbing Victoria's belly, of being the perfect partner. I saw the hope in Isabel's eyes die, replaced by a look of utter despair. For months after that, she would come and stand near the building for hours, just staring. Then, after Lily was born, she stopped coming. And now, she was telling me she was still waiting. But so much had changed. I was even less worthy of her love now than I was back then. I opened my mouth, but no words came. Daddy. At that moment, Aurora's clear voice chirped up. Mommy Belle loves you very, very much. My chopsticks paused midair. I stole a glance at Isabel. Her face was flushed crimson. She quickly put a piece of chicken on Aurora's plate. Sweetheart, Mommy Belle loves you too. You have to eat up and grow big and strong. Okay. Aurora nodded enthusiastically. You have to try hard too, Mommy Belle. I chuckled. Kids say the darndest things. Don't mind her. Isabel's ears were bright red. She pursed her lips, silent for a long moment. Then, as if summoning all her courage, she spoke. My hero, the truth is, I've been keeping an eye on you all these years. When you were doing well, I was happy for you. And when you weren't, it broke my heart. Her words sent an unexpected tremor through me. I could feel the depth of her affection, but it terrified me. I was afraid Victoria would find out, afraid she would hurt Isabel, hurt Aurora. Despite Isabel's heartfelt confession, the rest of the dinner was surprisingly pleasant, mostly thanks to my daughter, who acted as a little catalyst, quickly warming the atmosphere between us. My hero, can I stay here for a while? After dinner, Isabel asked if she could stay for a few days. I hesitated, but in the end I agreed. The following days were a balm to my soul. With no news from Victoria, I felt myself relax for the first time in years. Isabel fell into a natural rhythm with us. She would pick Aurora up from preschool, help me in the garden, do laundry, cook dinner. She did everything. Regardless of her status as a New York heiress, she was still the same girl I had fallen in love with. The whole town was abuzz, congratulating me on finding such a beautiful, kind, hard-working, and wealthy wife. Slowly, I began to accept her care, and Aurora adored her, calling her mommy at every opportunity, happier than I had ever seen her. She even tried to coach Isabel on how to win me over. But the good times didn't last. After 2 months, Isabel got a call about a family emergency that required her to return to New York immediately. Just 2 days after she left, a group of people showed up at my door. Victoria. Seeing her, a paralyzing cold seeped into my bones. How did she find me? What did she want? Ethan. Victoria's eyes were filled with tears as she walked cautiously towards me. Why would you leave me without a word? I missed you and Lily so much. She looked awful. The 3 months since I'd last seen her had taken their toll. The polished, powerful CEO of New York's top firm was gone, replaced by a haggard woman. I could even see a streak of silver in her dark hair. Her assistant and the bodyguards behind her all looked profoundly relieved. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. Ethan. Seeing my silence, Victoria reached for my hand. Are you still angry with me? As she said it, her expression was one of deep self-loathing and profound regret. Ms. Davenport, I'm not angry with you, I said with a faint smile. I just figured my and Lily's presence was getting in the way of your relationship with Julian. She stammered, trying to explain. I was just trying to repay an old debt. It's not what you think. You hesitated, I stated flatly. At my words, her face drained of all color. She staggered, nearly collapsing before her assistant caught her. Mr. Miller, the assistant Chloe, glared at me, her voice sharp with accusation. Do you have any idea what Ms. Davenport has been through these past few months? Chloe, don't say any more. Victoria shook her head, trying to silence her. No. For the first time, Chloe defied a direct order. I have to say it today. Mr. Miller. Chloe's voice was thick with indignation. You took Lily and vanished without a word. Ms. Davenport nearly went insane. She turned New York upside down looking for you, then expanded the search nationwide. Have you seen her? She hasn't slept for days on end. Her hair is turning gray from stress. And you're just here, enjoying a peaceful life in the countryside. I had expected Victoria to look for me, but I'd assumed it would be driven by her sick, possessive need for control. I never imagined that when she finally found me, she wouldn't be bursting with rage. Instead, she seemed terrified of losing me and was desperately trying to explain herself. So, I glanced at Chloe, my voice cool. You've been married for 5 years, and you couldn't even find my hometown? My question silenced her completely. Ethan. Victoria stepped forward, her eyes shimmering with tears. I know I was wrong. I never tried to understand you, and I was terrible to Lily. Can I change? I'll do anything. Please, just don't leave me. Please. Seeing her so broken and humble stirred a complicated feeling inside me. But then the memory of how she had caused our deaths in our last life rose up, and the urge to strike her was overwhelming. But I couldn't. This was a world of loss. And for my daughter's sake, I couldn't end up in prison. Victoria, I said, my eyes holding nothing but cold indifference. Did you ever love me? She nodded without hesitation, her voice frantic. Of course I love you, Ethan. You're my husband. Who else would I love? I let out a short, bitter laugh. The divorce papers are legally binding. We're divorced. Please have some self-respect. A tremor ran through her entire body. Can you at least tell me why you wanted a divorce? Was it really because you were jealous of Julian? I didn't want to explain anything to her, but for the sake of a peaceful future, I knew I had to make things crystal clear. I decided to speak with her alone. Victoria. Inside the house, I poured her a glass of water. There are some things I need to make clear to you. I know you've always had someone else in your heart. I used to think if I just tried hard enough, I could win you over. It wasn't until Julian came back that I realized you can't earn love through effort. Not in 3 years, not in 5, not in 100. Victoria, it's so obvious when you love someone. And it was never me. Tears streamed down her face as she shook her head weakly. Ethan, it's not like that. I admit, she sobbed. At first, I was just using you to make Julian jealous. But over these 5 years, I fell in love with you. I felt a surge of weary frustration, but I had to say what needed to be said. That's not love, Victoria. You just got used to me taking care of you. You got used to everything I gave you. You got used to having a dog you could control. My words weren't as harsh as they could have been. I was afraid of provoking her. The bodyguards outside were a stark reminder of her power. If I pushed her too far, she could still snap. No, that's not it, she insisted, trying desperately to explain. I know you left because you were jealous of Julian, right? Don't worry, I've already cut off all contact with him. Can we please go home now? I was genuinely surprised she would be willing to cut ties with Julian. The Victoria from my past life would never have done that. How can I make you understand? My voice rose with a note of hysteria. The problem between us was never about Julian. It's that you don't love me, and by extension, you don't love Lily. So you should be happy that I divorced you, shouldn't you? Victoria's face went white. The tears flowed freely as she choked out her words. It's not like that. The moment I saw those signed divorce papers, every day has been agony. When we first got married, I was too proud. I was harsh with you, bossy, arrogant. I thought that's how I could get your attention. I was a first-time mother. I didn't know how to love Lily. I was scared, so I ran away from it. But I never meant for it to be like this. I regret it so much. I regret hurting you and Lily so badly. Ethan, please, I'm begging you, forgive me. Let's take Lily and go home. I promise I'll make it up to both of you. Her confession sent a wave of doubt through me. For a moment, I had the bizarre thought that maybe, just maybe, Victoria had also been reborn. But that was impossible. She hadn't died. And even if she had, her love for Julian was so absolute she was willing to carry his child. Why would she sever ties with him now? Victoria, we're divorced, I said, my voice firm and serious. You don't love me. That's the truth. Can't we just let each other go? And Lily is happy here. As her mother, can't you just let her grow up in peace? Victoria quickly wiped her tears. Ethan, if you and Lily like it here, then I'll stay too. We could be a family, all together. Just don't leave me alone again, okay? I'm so scared. Scared of losing you and Lily. I didn't understand why she had changed so drastically. But I knew one thing for certain. She had never loved me or Lily. That was a fact that could never be changed. Victoria, don't you understand? I finally snapped, the words tearing from my throat. Lily and I are only happy when we're away from you. Her face went slack, as if all the strength had been drained from her body. She crumpled to the floor. Just then, Chloe's panicked voice came from outside. Julian, what are you doing? Let go of Lily. Let her go. Damn it. Lily was in danger. I burst out into the yard to see Julian holding a fruit knife to Lily's throat. She was still wearing her big school backpack. Julian, what the hell do you think you're doing? My voice trembled as I pointed at him. If you have a problem, you deal with me. Don't you dare touch my daughter. Victoria scrambled to her feet and stood in front of me, her body a weak but determined shield. Julian, I'm the one who cut ties with you. If you want to hurt someone, hurt me. I was stunned. The Victoria who had always despised us was now standing firmly on our side. Victoria? Julian's face was twisted with rage and hatred. For this worthless mutt and his little brat, you'd tear me apart piece by piece. Ha ha ha. Then let me give you another taste of true despair. With a guttural roar, he raised a knife high and plunged it down towards Lily. My mind went blank. My body shot forward like a cannonball, but I knew I was too far away. The knife was falling too fast. I was a good 15 feet from them. I could feel my scalp prickle, my vision tunnel, my heart shatter into a million pieces. No, I was reborn to live a good life, to get away from Victoria. Why was this happening? Why was fate so cruel to me and my daughter? Stop. At the last possible second, a sharp, commanding voice cut through the air. Julian's hand froze. He turned his head. ISA. Isabel Sterling. Julian Vance. The voice belonged to Isabel. She had returned, and she brought her own team of bodyguards. Her beautiful face was an arctic mask of fury. If you harm one hair on Lily's head, I swear to you, I will make you suffer for the rest of your miserable life. You will beg for a death that will never come. At her words, Julian's face went chalk white. I knew he hated Victoria, but I had no idea why he was so terrified of Isabel. Heh. After a few seconds of tense silence, a strange, cackling laugh erupted from Julian. Isabel Sterling. I never thought I'd see the day. The queen of New York society, sticking her neck out for this loser. Fine. You want me to let the little brat go? Then you and Victoria. Both of you. Give me a good time. Maybe then I'll consider letting her live. How about it? Julian had lost his mind. Done. Isabel and Victoria said in unison. My face was grim, my hands clenched into fists. Were they serious, or was this just a ploy to save Lily? In that moment, all I knew was a profound, suffocating hatred for my own powerlessness. Julian, you chased me for years, didn't you? All you ever wanted was for me to marry you, Isabel said, her voice dangerously calm. I'll marry you. Just let Lily go. You're lying. Julian shook his head wildly. You would never marry me. The only one you've ever loved is Ethan Miller. You haven't given me a second glance in years. Why would you suddenly agree to marry me now? So, he wasn't a complete idiot. I glanced at Victoria. I wondered how she felt, knowing that the man she had doted on for years was actually in love with Isabel. Julian. Isabel's voice was like ice. Let her go now before I change my mind. Or, I promise you, I will make good on my threat. You know what I'm capable of. Julian's face paled once more. He turned his desperate gaze to me. Ethan Miller, you win again, but I won't accept it. Even if I die, I'm taking you down with me. He raised the knife again, aiming for my daughter's heart. My own heart stopped. I lunged forward without a second thought, but a figure beside me moved faster, a blur of motion that was almost supernatural. Thud. Before anyone could react, there was the sickening sound of bodies colliding. It was followed by a sharp cry of pain and a furious curse. Victoria, are you insane? That blur. It was Victoria? How could she have moved faster than me? In that same instant, another figure shot forward, delivering a brutal kick to Julian's groin and snatching Lily away from him. It was Isabel. Lily, are you okay? I finally reached my daughter, my hands flying over her, checking for any injuries. Thankfully, aside from a few light scratches, she was unharmed. I'm okay, Daddy. Lily was remarkably calm. She hadn't cried at all. She even patted my arm reassuringly. Victoria's bodyguards swarmed in, quickly subduing the whimpering Julian, who was now curled up on the ground. Just then, Chloe's terrified scream cut through the chaos. Ms. Davenport, are you okay? Oh my God, you're bleeding so much. Quick, get her to a hospital. Amid the frantic shouts, they lifted Victoria to carry her away. Ethan, Victoria struggled, crawling back towards me, her voice weak and strained. Is Lily okay? I gave a numb nod. I saw the tension leave her face, replaced by an expression of profound relief. Then, her face went deathly pale. It was only then that I saw it. The handle of the fruit knife was protruding from her side, a dark stain of blood spreading rapidly across her clothes. You're hurt, I said, the words feeling heavy and inadequate. But she had saved Lily. She had taken a knife for her. I had to say something. Ethan, she gasped out, her eyes fixed on me and Lily, pleading. I was wrong. Can you and Lily ever forgive me? Just get to the hospital, I said, unable to give her the answer she wanted. Lily just looked at Victoria with a complicated, unreadable expression. I saw the light in Victoria's eyes dim, a look of utter desolation washing over her, aging her a decade in a single moment. The injury must have been severe. She coughed, a spray of blood erupting from her lips, and then she passed out. Chloe didn't wait another second. The bodyguards rushed Victoria to their car and sped off towards the town hospital. Lily, oh, thank God you're okay. Isabel finally let her own emotions show, tears of relief streaming down her face as she hugged my daughter tight. It's okay, Mommy Belle. I'm not scared, Lily said, gently wiping the tears from Isabel's cheeks. Seeing that Lily was truly not traumatized, the knot of terror in my chest finally loosened. Ethan Miller. At that moment, the subdued Julian spoke, his voice a pathetic whimper. I never meant to hurt your daughter. You didn't mean to hurt her? Then why did you hold a knife to her throat? Why'd you try to kill her twice? I didn't know why he was still trying to make excuses. He must have known he was finished, that there was no escaping the law. Believe me or not, Julian let out a miserable laugh. No matter how much of a bastard I am, I could never bring myself to kill a child. The things I did, I can never pay for them in this lifetime. I came here today to die. I just wasn't willing to accept it. I thought if I could do it all over again, maybe the ending would be different. But I still lost. As he spoke, his face contorted in a final, vicious snarl. A trickle of blood seeped from the corner of his mouth. Last time, I just wanted to teach you a lesson. I didn't mean for you to. Forgive me, Ethan. Lily, I'm sorry. His voice became a strangled gurgle, as if something was caught in his throat. Then his head lolled to the side. He was dead. He got off easy, Isabel said, her face cold and hard. Then, she turned her gentle gaze back to Lily and scooped her up. Lily, let's have Mommy Belle take you to the hospital for a checkup, okay? Okay. Lily nodded, then added, Daddy has to come too. A family should be together. A faint blush colored Isabel's cheeks. She looked back at me expectantly. I smiled and walked over, taking Lily into my own arms. Isabel naturally looped her arm through mine. Are you all right? She asked softly. I shook my head. How did you know to come back? Isabel's expression became guarded. She hesitated for a long time before answering. I went back to New York to find Julian, but he'd already disappeared. I guess he must have followed Victoria here, so I rushed back. I didn't think I'd still be too late. Why were you looking for him? I asked casually. To make him disappear. Permanently, she said, her voice filled with a chilling, boundless hatred. I didn't ask any more questions. I just held my daughter and got into Isabel's luxury car, heading for the hospital. The town doctor gave Lily a quick examination and said she was fine. We even saw the town's only therapist, who confirmed that Lily was showing no signs of trauma. I suppose when you've already died once, there's not much left to be afraid of. Dr. Reynolds, did you hear? A nurse's voice drifted in from the hallway. That woman they brought in with the serious injuries. They've transferred her. And the doctor nodded. The facilities here are too limited. If it didn't transfer her, I doubt she. He trailed off, but we all knew what he meant. Without immediate advanced medical care, Victoria would die. Let's go, I said. I held Lily, and Isabel held my arm, and we left the hospital. When we got back to the house, the yard was swarming with police. A white sheet covered the ground where Julian had lain. The police took my statement, and I told them everything, holding nothing back. Hey, I think I've seen that guy before. Aurora's preschool teacher, who had come over to check on us, suddenly spoke up. He's been around the school the last few days, playing with Aurora. At first, I was worried he was a kidnapper, but Aurora seemed to know him, so I just assumed he was a friend of yours. Her words sent a shock of ice through my veins. Julian had been here for days, and Aurora had never told me. The man who had murdered us in our past life had been near my daughter, and I had no idea. Daddy, Aurora tugged on my sleeve, whispering her explanation. He said he was sorry for what happened last time, to you and me. He said this time he wanted to make it right, and he asked me to help him with a play. He also said that after he died, I should burn a letter to tell him if Annie Victoria and Mommy Belle were sad. I didn't know if Victoria or Isabel would be sad, but I knew I hated Julian. I could never forgive him. Death was too easy for him. Caleb, Isabel squeezed my hand, her voice low. In the last life, Victoria and I, we cut the flesh from his bones, piece by piece. Her words struck me like lightning. You remember the last life, too? I stared at her, my mind reeling. How? I came here to find you, Isabel began, and then she told me everything. By the time she finished, I was in a state of shock. After Lily and I died, Victoria had gone on a rampage, brutally torturing Julian to death before taking her own life. And Isabel, upon hearing of my death, had done the same. So it wasn't just me and Lily. We had all been reborn. Isabel, Victoria, and Julian. That explained everything. Victoria's sudden change of heart, Julian's despair, and his talk of a different ending. Isabel's desperate search for me, and her immediate move to eliminate Julian. No matter what, I would not repeat the mistakes of the past. I knew how Isabel felt about me, but I was still a long way from healing. A month later, Isabel handed over the day-to-day operations of Sterling Corp to a team of professional managers and moved in with me. She was wonderful to me and Aurora, and slowly, I grew accustomed to having her in our lives. We heard that Victoria had survived the surgery, but the knife had damaged her uterus. She would never be able to have children again. Time passed quickly. 6 months went by. After she recovered, Victoria started visiting us regularly. She never caused any trouble when Isabel was around. She just focused all her attention on Aurora, finding new and creative ways to be good to her. Seeing Aurora so happy, I didn't stop her. I asked Aurora once why she had forgiven Victoria. She said, Daddy, I haven't forgiven her. I'm listening to Mommy Belle. We're giving her a chance to make it up to us. Then she looked at me with a mischievous glint in her eye. Daddy, when are you and Mommy Belle going to give me a little brother? Isabel and I just looked at each other and smiled. Victoria could never repay the debt she owed me and Aurora. But the debt I owed Isabel, that I could repay. A few months later, I married a very pregnant Isabel Sterling. We held the wedding in the backyard of my old family home. Victoria was Isabel's maid of honor, and Aurora was our flower girl. The whole town came to celebrate. To my surprise, Isabel's parents showed up, bearing an incredible amount of wedding gifts. 3 months after that, my son was born. Victoria moved in with us to help take care of Isabel, Aurora, and the baby. I didn't object, because I was leaving for New York to take over as the CEO of Sterling Corp. Over the past months, I had seen Victoria's remorse, and I had seen that her affection for Isabel and Aurora was genuine. I finally trusted her enough to leave them in her care. But that didn't mean I had forgiven her. The hatred from our last life was something I would never let go of. Another year passed. Aurora started elementary school, and my son was learning to talk. Victoria, against her parents' wishes, gifted her entire company, Davenport Industries, to Aurora, with me managing it in her stead. She said she was never leaving our home, that she would spend the rest of her life with her dearest sister, Isabel. 18 years later, Aurora was grown, married to a hard-working young man from a small town just like ours. Isabel, Victoria, and I all approved. Her younger brother, now a college student, cried like a baby at the wedding, a river of tears just like when he was a toddler. Another year flew by. Aurora had a child, a little girl. We were all a little older. I stepped down as CEO of both Sterling Corp and Davenport Industries, handing the reins to Aurora and my son-in-law. My own son had no interest in the corporate world. He was content to travel the world, wanting for nothing. As luck would have it, the fool managed to charm and marry the only daughter of the world's richest man. I no longer had to worry about his future. We grew older still. In the blink of an eye, we were approaching 60. Victoria's old injury had taken its toll on her body, and her health began to fail. She was the first of us to leave this world. She died peacefully in her sleep. While sorting through her belongings, Isabel and I found her diary. It was filled, page after page, with her small, neat handwriting. She wrote of her repentance for the last life. She said it was only after Lily and I died that she understood how much she truly loved us. She wrote that last time she really had just been trying to help Julian and never imagined her actions would lead to our deaths. That was why she had taken such brutal revenge on him. After Isabel found her, the two of them had tortured him together before taking their own lives. She also wrote about this life. She wrote of her sorrow, her confusion, and her envy of Isabel. On the last page, there were just a few lines. Ethan, I failed you in our last life. It's a debt I can never repay. Thank you for giving me the chance to be near you and Aurora, to watch her child grow up and start her own family. I have been so happy. Aurora, my sweet girl, I'm so sorry. Mommy was wrong. Can you ever forgive me? The whole family came for her funeral. Aurora placed a single white chrysanthemum on the casket. Mom, she whispered, I forgive you. I said nothing. I took Isabel's hand, and we turned to leave. It was time for us to travel the world. This life, I would never forgive her.